Hello again and welcome to Ndudu by Fafa. Thank you again for joining me for another episode. And it's that time of the year where I'm going to show you how to make your own Christmas cake. Not any other Christmas cake, of course. It's that Ndudu by Fafa's twist on a Christmas cake. The time to make your Christmas cake is now because we're going to be feeding it for the next 4 weeks or until Christmas Day when we serve it. And it's just going to be moist, packed with natural flavors, and it's going to be incredible. And I'm going to start off by using my whiskey. You can use brandy, whatever alcohol you have of your choice, or rum maybe, but I do love this whiskey, definitely. And so yeah, I'm going to transfer a little bit into a bowl, and to that I'm going to add my dried mixed fruits. I bought all my dried mixed fruits from Sainsbury's, most definitely. But you know what? It's a fruity affair here. You know what I mean? Now, in a bit that I don't end up using all my whiskey for this recipe, also adding some port, which works equally well. Port at Christmas is just incredible. You can get this from most supermarkets as well and specialist wine shops, most definitely. So I'm just going to add that. I'm going to mix everything together till it's well combined. And I think I do have some of my fruits left, so I'm just going to add that and mix it. Cover it and allow it to soak overnight. So the next morning when I come through, it's just going to be nice and plump, filled with my alcohol. So it's going to be nice, sweet, alcohol-filled fruit. Oh, na no ninko, untok bomea. In Dubai, Fafa Mawomla, Manya Cake VOD is the cake that you need to try. And if this is your first time, yes, you're welcome. And do not forget to click the subscribe button and the notification button. So each time I upload a video, you are notified of it and you do not miss a thing. Okay, so now let's cover this bad girl and then I'm going to tackle it the next day. So now is the next day. As you can see, look at this. They've even got some hips be crowds today. It's plumped up and it's just so juicy and perfect. So now I'm going to add my next ingredient, which is my candied ginger. Yes, because I like my fruitcake to have that gingery taste. It's Christmas, it's cold, and I need something warm and I need that kick. And guess what? I'm also adding some crystallized ginger. This is such a ginger affair. If you don't like ginger, you can omit this entirely and you can use your orange peel. Most definitely. But I need to have that kick, yes, in my Christmas cake. Now you will notice that I did add my ginger pieces the next day, just so that they're not infused too much with the alcohol, but that they do maintain the gingery flavor. So when I bake that cake, it just infuses into each part of the fruits, and they can do their own hours sorting. You know what I mean? So the next thing is I'm going to add my glazed cherries. Now the mixed fruits that I used earlier did include some cherries as well, but with this, yet again, I'm not allowing it to infuse too much into the alcohol and it would hold its shape. And when I cut the cake, I see that beautiful red color, but at this point it's almost like it's got this sort of like dark orangey look by mixing it, as you can see here. But anyway, now let's move on to my flour. So I'm using my plain flour, and I've just used my sieve to sift that to make sure that I take away anything that's onto it, but also to make my flour light and fluffy, as you do. Now the next thing I'm going to add is my baking powder. Yes, not too much, just so it just gives it that lighter sort of texture, but still a little bit on the denser side, because your fruitcake has to have some hips. You know what I mean? So I've added the baking powder, and then what should I add? You didn't expect this, did you? Yes, I'm using the Chinese 5-spice mix. Wow, such a mouthful. And this particular one has the inclusion of shison pepper, and I love the flavor of shison pepper. Oh, it's just incredible. I mean, you can use any normal mixed spice that you do have available, but do try this. You thank me later because it's got the nutmeg in. It's just so incredible. And then I'm adding my salt to taste. That's important. So I've got all my dry ingredients here, and of course, naturally, I'm going to mix everything together, as I always say, till it's well combined. Now I've melted some butter, and what I'm going to do is, grease my baking tin. Yes, so you just do that shabba shabba. And the reason why I melt it, it just makes it easier for me to spread the butter everywhere. And once I do this, I place it in the fridge and I take it back out and just make sure that, everywhere is covered. Because once it's in the fridge, it just cools down so you can see if there's any spots or any part of your baking tin that you've not greased. That's my little secret. Anyway, so now I've added some butter to my kitchen mixer. Yes. And to that, I'm going to add some sugar, and I'm using brown sugar here. Now you notice that I've left it like in a chunky manner. You can, mill it slightly so you have a smoother, but I like it this way because this is going to take ages to cook in and it would melt and it's just going to be so good. And I'm using less sugar here because the fruits do have their own natural sugars. You saw the crystallized ginger that was also covered in sugar, and also the candied ginger. So yes, I would leave the list of ingredients and measurements on my blog Ndudu by Fafa.blogspot.com, so do check it out in terms of all the measurements and everything. Now the next thing is I'm adding some ginger powder. Yes, because this is a spicy Christmas cake a la Ndudu. Oui, merci. You're welcome. And yes, I'm just going to whisk this. Well, you don't really need it, so you don't need to whisk it till it's fluffy or anything like that. But at this point, I think it's just ready for me to add my eggs, and I'll be adding 4 eggs to it. And that's just going to blend, and it's going to end up being like this watery sort of consistency, but it's okay because I've got this covered. I'm handling my business. You know what I mean? So now, I've got my mixture here, and now it's time for me to add my dry ingredients. So I'm adding my flour, which of course is spiced perfectly. And I'm just going to mix everything together. Guess what? Till it's well combined. Have I given you a reason to click the subscribe button? I hope I have. Definitely. And then, I think this is so cool. Now it's nice and thick. Don't worry about, the flour that's on the edges because it's all going to come together in the end anyway. So I think this is the point that I do now add my boozy fruits. Yes. And the juice. Look at that. Look at that. Just add it to it just nicely. And I'm just going to mix everything together again till it's well combined. At this point, preheat your oven to 140 degrees. Yes, I know. It's going to be a long baking process. So this is why you need to start making your Christmas cake now, just the way you like it. Or preferably, the Ndudu way. Did you think I was done? Of course not. I have to grate the zest of 2 oranges and then 1 lemon to my mixture. And it's just going to be so aromatic and just so beautiful. This Christmas flavors. Now this is an ultimate Christmas cake. What say you? That just looks beautiful. Now I'm just going to mix everything together till it's well combined. Can you count the number of times I've said that today? But this is a perfect day, especially a Sunday, for you to create this recipe. Definitely. And so as and when I do feed it, which I will feature in part 2 of it, and also decorating at some point, you can also follow suit. So now, this is where I had to avert some disaster. Notice that I didn't have any grease-proof paper. I was like, what? Okay, so now my boarding school days, where you improvise on things came through. And I was like, oh, but I do have this, bread lining things, So I was like, yeah, I'll use that. So it's exactly what I did. You just got to learn to improvise and make the most of the little you have. Absolutely. Because that would have just stopped me from filming this altogether and having to go to the shops, buy it. Of course, I bought it later, but I needed to film this. So I had to do it. And I'm liking this, making the most. And look at that. Yeah, makeshift. Would it work? Of course. Why not? So now let's transfer the bad girl into this. And I've got to be careful because, I've just made this. I have to make sure that it just goes into the middle part of it and maintains that. And, yeah, because this is just like Ndudu by Fafa all together. Just enjoy. So now I have to create a blanket for this. Reason is I'm going to be slow baking this for about 3.5 hours to 4 hours. So yes, this greaseproof paper wahala thing continues. So I'm just wrapping it on the outside as well. And that prevents, the cake from burning. It just allows it to just cook so. Absolutely. So here I have got my blankety cake that's ready for the oven. Absolutely. So as I said, preheat your oven to 140 degrees and then I'm just going to move this to the oven. And after 3.5 hours, I did insert a skewer and it looked perfect. So I took it out of the oven and allowed it to rest for about 30 to 45 minutes. Now I have my Christmas cake. Look at this. This is part 1. Absolutely. Now we're going to be feeding this in the next couple of weeks up until Christmas Day. So yes, naturally I'd leave the list of ingredients and measurements on my blog in ndudubyfafa.blogspot.com. I'm also on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook as in Ndudu by Fafa. Noel, thank you very much for my theme song, and until next time, yes, take care of you, be nice, be beautiful and be kind, because I love you for you.